Multiple big storms are on the horizon across the United States as we are anticipating a more active weather pattern as we go into March, but even over the next week or so, we are anticipating some snowfall in addition to even some isolated severe weather and a threat for some flooding. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country this morning, and things have begun to pick up in activity a little bit, especially near the Gulf Coast, where we have a low pressure system that is currently forming back over near Texas and Louisiana. We have some showers and thunderstorms mainly across the Gulf Coast this morning, and eventually as we go into late today and tomorrow, we are anticipating the system to move towards Florida, where it's going to bring a potential for some isolated flooding rainfall and maybe even some severe weather, and this will actually be somewhat similar to a tropical storm, but it will not be tropical due to the temperatures being colder than what it needs to be for a tropical system. Nonetheless, definitely going to be an interesting system, and I would anticipate even some gusty winds across Florida as we go into Monday. And then back over in the Pacific Northwest, we have a huge atmospheric river event occurring today, and this is going to dump as much as 10 inches of rain over the next few days to areas like Washington, Oregon, and as well as California. And also, I have a big announcement. If you've not already noticed, we've officially hit 1 million subscribers. I do want to thank you all so much for your support. I don't know how in the world we got here, but I am so glad I can help over 1 million of you with weather information, including weather live streams and as well as videos. And I also want to mention that we now officially have our 1 million subscriber merch out at shopmaxvelocity.net. It is the top link in the description below, including our signed hats in addition to t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and as well as posters. So if you want to check any of this out, it is the top link in the description below. And keep in mind that there's only 500 signed hats available, and this will likely be the last time I'm doing signed merch for a long time because it's very time consuming. So if you want to check all this out, it is at shopmaxvelocity.net or the top link in the description below. Now, the weather is going to be very weird over the next few weeks as we are dealing with an entirely different weather pattern than what we've had all February long. So let's talk more about this weather pattern, and we're going to check out the jet stream, and this is what it looks like right now. We do have a trough back over in the southern plains. This is going to bring the threat for some flooding rainfall along the Gulf Coast and even some tropical storm-like conditions to Florida as we go into tomorrow. In addition to that, our polar jet stream is lifted far off to the north, meaning all of that cold air is basically going to the north. We don't really have a whole lot of cold air left back over in the Great Plains or even back into the southeast, as all that warm air will start to build up over the next few days, and we're going to have a mini winter heat wave. In addition to that, an intense atmospheric river is currently impacting the west coast, bringing several inches of rain. As we go into Monday into Tuesday, the jet stream pattern is going to be very similar. Our subtropical jet stream pretty far down to the south. Our polar jet stream will dip a little bit, which means we're going to get a little bit of cold air back over in the Midwest and as well as the Northeast, but primarily talking about above average temperatures for most of the United States throughout the work week. Eventually by Wednesday into Thursday, the weather pattern is going to be very different, and this is a period of time that we're going to be dealing with multiple storms, but mainly back over in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast, as our jet stream is going to favor some of these Alberta Clippers to come out of Canada, and these will bring some snow, some rain, maybe even some isolated severe weather as they track across the Midwest and eventually towards the East Coast. Eventually, as we go into the weekend, the weather pattern stays very similar, where we will continue to see these Alberta Clippers that come out of Canada moving across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. However, by the first week of March, I think we're going to be dealing with some troughs that are going to develop back over in the Pacific Ocean and actually move through the Southwest and eventually move over the Rocky Mountains. And these could be big storms. We're talking about the potential for a mix of snow and even severe weather, I think, in the first couple of weeks of March. So this will be a weather pattern to watch for. So we know for sure, basically, over the next week or so, we're mostly talking about Alberta Clippers. But once we start to see these storm systems move over the Rockies, this is when we start to see the return of significant severe weather and in some cases, even significant winter storms. So we need to watch this closely, I think, throughout the first week or two of March. And I think that's what a lot of March is going to end up being. We're going to see a lot of these storm systems moving over the Rockies, a lot of warm and cold air mixing, and that'll eventually lead to some big time storms in the United States. So right now we have a bunch of storms forming. We have one along the Gulf Coast, which is dumping lots of rain to areas like Louisiana and Mississippi. We also have heavy rain and snow back over in the Pacific Northwest from an atmospheric river event, and there's also some light snow falling back over in the Northeast. But eventually, as we go into Monday, things are going to change a little bit. We're going to have some showers and thunderstorms moving towards Florida and even an isolated tornado risk in southern Florida tomorrow afternoon. This system, again, is not going to be tropical, but it will bring tropical-like impacts, including gusty winds and as well as heavy rainfall that could lead to localized flooding. We're also going to have a very large winter weather event back over in Canada. This will really not impact the United States much, but there will be some passing showers back over in the upper Midwest, and then there's also going to be some rain and snow continuing to fall even on Monday back over along the west coast. By the time we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, a little bit of rain and snow back over in the northeast, in addition to a little Alberta Clipper moving across the northern plains and the Midwest. Again, this can be a very typical weather pattern, I think, for the next week or so. By around Thursday, there will be some snow back over in the far northern New England area and into Canada, some showers and isolated thunderstorms across the Dixie Alley all the way back through the northeast. Wouldn't really anticipate any really significant severe weather at this point. And then by Friday, another Alberta Clipper will be moving right just to the north of the Midwest, and that'll eventually move into the northeast as we go into Saturday. Right behind that Alberta Clipper, we are talking about some really strong Arctic air moving into the Midwest and the northeast. It's going to get very cold in those areas. And then as we go into early March, there's a lot more uncertainty about exactly what we're going to be seeing in terms of severe weather or even winter storms. However, I do think we're going to be talking about some big time storm systems, and these are the ones that will be coming over the Rockies and then eventually moving into the Great Plains, which creates a lot of mixing, meaning I think there will be a return of some winter storm action and as well as maybe even some significant severe weather in the first couple of weeks of March. But again, exactly the magnitude of these and where they even happen is just so uncertain at this point, as it is still well over a week from now. Now, in terms of total rainfall accumulation from this big atmospheric river event back over in the Pacific Northwest, we are anticipating several inches of rain across western Washington, Oregon, and northern California. A few pockets up to 5 to 6 inches of rain are possible between now and late Monday night into early Tuesday morning. And again, a lot of this rain is falling between now and tomorrow, so definitely make sure that you're being safe out there, and if you are traveling, avoid flooded roadways. And then back over in the deep south and the southeast, we are anticipating some rainfall between now and Tuesday morning. Majority of areas are not going to really see much of a flooding concern, but there could be some low-lying areas with flooding in Louisiana or Mississippi, and also back over into southern Florida. A few locations could have as much as 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. And there's also a tornado risk tomorrow. We actually will have an environment tomorrow, mainly in southern Florida, where I wouldn't rule out an isolated supercell sometime around lunchtime or so definitely make sure you're staying weather aware. If you are just south or west of Miami, there may be an isolated tornado risk. We could be talking about some pretty big fish nados just to the south and west there of Tampa tomorrow morning. So if you are in southern Florida, definitely stay weather aware tomorrow late morning into the early afternoon. And again, we'll be mostly around and just south and west of Miami. Not really anticipating any tornado risk to take place back over in central Florida. Now, the snowfall chances between now and the end of February are very low unless you're over in the Pacific Northwest or in the far northern parts of New England. But eventually, as we go into early March, the chances do begin to increase a little bit for at least 1 inch of snowfall across the central and northern plains, the Midwest, and back through the Northeast. So for now, the odds of a big winter storm are low, but we'll be keeping a close eye on any sort of big disturbances in early March, because those are really the last shots, I think, of a big winter storm here this winter. And we are about to see a big temperature shift across most of the United States. This is what it looks like this morning. Below average temperatures continue across the Ohio Valley and the southern plains, but eventually as we go into Monday and Tuesday, we are right back to some warm weather across the Great Plains and even back over to the southwest, where a few record-breaking high temperatures will be possible on Monday and Tuesday. Eventually by the middle of the week, we're continuing to battle some warm weather in the Great Plains, but eventually by the weekend, things will change back over in the Northeast, as there will be a small Arctic air mass that'll move back over into the Northeast on Saturday. And then eventually as we go into the following week, we should get another shot of cold air back across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and as well as the Northeast. For now, this does not appear as if it'll be that intense, as many areas will be around 15 to 25 degrees below average, but it is still something that'll be a notable shift in terms of the temperatures. And then beyond this Arctic air, things become a lot more uncertain. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And as a friendly reminder, if you want any merch for 1 million subscribers, it is available for a limited time at shopmaxvelocity.net, including our signed hats, t-shirts, stickers, and as well as our mugs and posters. And you can also get a personalized handwritten card directly from me. And the t-shirt design is incredible. There's a lot of different things here, like the drunk NATO, fish NATO, in addition to flying trampolines and cheese curds. Definitely recommend you check all this out at shopmaxvelocity.net or the top link in the description below. Also, I want to give you guys a heads up. I will likely not have a video tomorrow, as the weather is relatively quiet here over the next several days. We'll be doing every other day videos until the weather gets more active again.